Hey there guys, NintendoPSX here, and well, we're back with Gaster. See, ever since I made that video, you guys have gone off and put so many theories into the comments. Now remember, they're just theories, barely any proof to prove any of them, but I'm going to go over yours, so let's start. Moscow Monster says, I was thinking about it and this is my take. Sans was a scientist that worked for Gaster. Gaster, Sans, and Papyrus have font names and the three are skeletons. The machine that killed Gaster is the machine in Sans' basement. It was the blueprint for Alphys's experiments later. The original machine used determination, possibly an acronym, to make Monster's souls last longer, the same as Alphys's one. When Gaster fell in his machine, he was infused with terrible amounts of determination and erased from the timeline. Some of his assistants were also erased, the Grey Followers. And only Sans survived, but he was also infused with determination and got his superpowers of teleportation and time manipulation. Determination seems to be related to time manipulation, saving the game and knowing about other timelines, since Flowey and Frisk can do it, as do Gaster and Sans. While it's hard to say what machine is the one Gaster fell into, it's more likely the core. Yet we don't know, so who's to say? Along the lines of determination being in relation to time manipulation, that is resetting and saving, that could actually be seen as true. Jake Your Mum says, I've some strange theories. Sans and Papyrus are both a part of Gaster. They never specified what machine Gaster fell into. It could have also been a determination machine, which could have somehow created Sans and Papyrus. The two that he mentioned in entry 17 could have easily just been other scientists, but I don't know, seems a little stretched. This is another common theory that Papyrus and Sans are two part of Gaster's. Yet, that seems far-fetched if we consider that the mystery man in the Grey Door is Gaster. While Gaster is corrupted in some form, if Papyrus and Sans were two parts of him, Gaster wouldn't be seen at all, nor would he be always watching. He just wouldn't exist, because he was split into two. David Murdoch says, the way I see it, W.D. Gaster is the father of Sans and Papyrus are his sons, making them all the Gaster family. W.D. managed to erase himself from the time and space, however somehow his sons remained as artifacts of the redacted timeline. Sans at the very least is fully aware of what happened, which is pretty horrible. Imagine it for a second, your father is gone forever. On top of that, everyone who ever worked with you and knew you suddenly no longer remembers you. From their point of vision, one day you just kind of disappeared. Or kind of appeared. The disruption has apparently altered Sans, not just in the emotional sense, he is something that should not exist, a glitch in the Matrix. Sans has apparently learned how to use this to give himself considerable power, which he uses for good. This makes Sans a kind of a monster superhero who is tasked with protecting his people. Another really popular theory is the father/sons or three brothers theory. Another one I'm iffy on myself. While it makes for nice fan art, there's been no indication other than time that connects these dots. Some see Gaster as a skeleton, but just because the guy has a white head and hands doesn't necessarily make him a skeleton. That's my take at least. If any, I could maybe see the brothers idea, but the father one seems a little stretched to me personally. But who's to say? Yinga says, here's a little food for thought. We've already made the Gaster-Aster connection, and that Aster is a kind of flower. Oddly enough, one that looks a lot like Flowey. But what's the significance of Aster being a kind of flower? Well, do you know what an asterisk is? The symbol that appears in front of all the dialogue in the game, in front of every character's lines ever present everywhere except for Papyrus's speech. He's the only character in the game to not have an asterisk in his lines. While this is technically true, Aster is a flower that resembles a buttercup. The asterisk symbol also does appear in front of all characters but Papyrus, so some theories that asterisk is Gaster listening in, but not listening in on Papyrus. Perhaps there's a connection, or maybe it's just something Toby did to keep us guessing with no real meaning. Mr. D says, I believe that Sans is a pirate, Sans is being created from Gaster when he fell inside. Sans looks really similar to Gaster, and even more than Papyrus. Maybe when Gaster disappeared, his soul was taken across time and space, but its body turned into Sans, and maybe Papyrus, but Papyrus looks more like a skeleton than Sans or Gaster. So maybe Sans isn't really a skeleton at all? It's hard to say. I mean, Sans does look similar in size and shape to Gaster, though that could be just because of Gaster's corruption. Maybe either of the Bone Brothers are separate beings that popped out of Gaster before he was corrupted, showing parts of his true form. Though it's also really rough to call out on Sans not being a skeleton. I mean, he has skeletal structures, says he's the brother of another skeleton, and even refers to himself as a skeleton the first time you ever encounter him. Lastly, Hanamir says, so when Gaster was scattered across time and space, what if he transcended the rules of his own world and all of his pieces ended up in each of us, represented as the will to play this game so that he could still exist in some form? After all, we're all the ones talking with our hands. Holy mother of God, that's one creepy theory. In fact, I kind of like it. There's not much precedence to it, but damn, is it sure interesting. I mean, the idea that we're all one of the people keeping pieces of Gaster alive by talking about him and being interested, keeping him, you know, together in the time and space, that's a little crazy. I mean, everybody loves to look at things in the world of the game itself, but we gotta remember this is a game that calls out the player itself, us. So, you know, it wouldn't be far-fetched to say that perhaps we're the ones keeping Gaster alive. Perhaps we're the ones representing Gaster as the will to play, or to keep him there. That's a little crazy. But anyways, these are all your theories that I took from the top comments in the original Gaster video. So you can check that out here. And I'll put a link to that in the description below as well. And then you guys can, you know, put more theories in this comment. Who knows? Maybe we'll make a second video to this. That'd be pretty cool, right? Anyways, thank you guys for loving these Undertale videos that I've been doing recently. It really means a lot getting, you know, all these engaging comments and stuff like that. You guys think I don't read them, but I read every single one, and some make me laugh, and some are like, what is going on? Anyways, this has been NintendoPSX, and thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video, whether it's Undertale or not. See you guys then.